It's time for No Pad Sports Talk. Stay tuned as two brothers bring you the latest from your Michigan teams and beyond in hockey, baseball, football, and more. Let's get started. Here are your hosts, JD and Steve.
Welcome to another edition of No Pad Sports Talk. I am one of your hosts, JD.
And I am Steve, and I am on location. I am currently in Davison, Michigan, doing a little camping. It's about an hour north of where I live, but spring break for us.
Just getting away, huh?
Yeah. Just getting away. So trying to, decompress a little before we go back to school next week. So with our spring break here for the school district and the kids are off, it's not much of a spring break for me. I am a robotics mentor / coach for my school. And we had a competition this weekend. We actually have a competition next weekend. So competition this weekend was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Next weekend is Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So basically, I get tonight, which is Sunday, so everyone knows it's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday I got to be back home. And then I got competition Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I'm going to come back up here for Sunday and Monday. So I get a couple extra days. It's kind of nice. But,
okay.
So we compete with First Robotics. It's a worldwide kind of competition. This year, the theme is called Crescendo. So it's got a music theme, right? And the idea is to get these foam rings. They're about 14 inches in diameter. And we have to pick them up off the floor or have them delivered to us. And then we have to put them into these things called a speaker, an amp. And then we have a hanging feature at the end of the game. Well, my team was actually been trying to, and we know what the competition is going to be. And we found out in early January. So we've been working on our robot and building a brand new robot from scratch, the chassis, everything, right? And could not get it programmed. It's something that we were using a new drivetrain, and it was just a struggle trying to get it programmed. So on Wednesday of this last week, this like 5 days ago, we had to cut ties and just with that robot, and had to build a robot in 3 days for competition. So my team worked extra hard, and it was and they worked all through the weekend. So I just wanted to kind of give them a shout out for everything that they've done, the hard work that they put in. Not the results we were hoping for, but they did learn a lot. They stayed in it, and they just kept competing. And not only that, they have sat down. One of the parents has said, look, the kids can bring the stuff over here, or they can work on the robot. So they're going to be working on the robot out of the garage for the next few days just to get it improved. So it's going to be better for the next competition. So, I'd like to pat on the back, a little initiative there.
A lot of times, like sports and situations like this, it's not always about, you want to win. You love to win. It's nice to win.
Right.
But, for kids, it's a lot about just growth and learning. So it sounds like they definitely achieved that.
They have. And it is really it was just good to see. It was good to see. I'm going to let everybody know my internet connection here is not very good. So I'm watching my upload.
I know.
So
anyway, it should hopefully all ends out good in the end. That's what's supposed to happen. So.
Exactly. It is. It's supposed to end up. So we've done this before, and this is actually almost a year ago today that we did this from the same location. We had the same issue. So
But speaking of kind of like overcoming some adversity, we definitely got to like give a shout out to Oakland, right?
Yes,
The tournament.
absolutely. On the men's bracket, Oakland University. Not just that they beat a team in the first round, but it's the team that they beat in the first round, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Kentucky. I mean, number 3. I believe they were number 3 in the ranking.
Yeah. Very nice. Very nice. Very nice.
I mean, Oakland is where I got my master's degree from, so I have a special place in my heart for Oakland University. It is in Rochester, Michigan. For those of you who don't know where Rochester, Michigan is, if you know where Auburn Hills was, where the Pistons used to play, where the Palace was located, they're connected. They're close, right? So from where the college is to where the Palace was, a couple of miles. So, but yeah, it was awesome to see that. And it was just, I mean, they were talking about I think it was the center for Oakland. He was just going off. Just had a game. So.
Yeah, Jack Golke.
Yeah, it would be really cool to see, if they can not to have that hangover from the big win and to maybe grab another one and move to the next round. It would be really cool to see.
He had 10 3-pointers, which was the second most in an NCAA tournament game in history. So total 32 points. And I don't know if he's seen some of those shots, but some of those shots he was just kind of like jumping to a side and in the midair shooting. Some of those shots were just completely unbelievable. You would think why are you taking that shot? You should not be taking that shot. But hey,
I think he's been watching.
Congratulations.
Absolutely, I think he's been watching Caitlin Clark, because we all know if you ever watch the Iowa women's basketball team, she just pulls up from wherever she feels like she's done dribbling.
And what's funny about Jack Golke too is how long he's kind of been in school. He's 24 years old now. Didn't get any D1 offers. Finally, this is his first year doing it, but he stuck with it. And wow, what a game though! Very very nice. So.
Yes, it was. So it's always nice to see, because I didn't watch the game, so I totally missed it. I thought they weren't starting until Saturday, and it wasn't. And I was completely off. I didn't even get a bracket done for the tournament, for either the men's or the women's.
Yeah. Yep. But it was, I know that busted quite a few brackets anyways. Oakland beating Kentucky. I don't know who would have picked that. But,
I think it was the Yahoo bracket. I think it was 0.1% were left after that first day, after the first day of games, the first, I don't know, what, 8 or 16 games, 0.1%.
Well, I sent you that a video of one guy that bet on all the underdogs, and he was waiting, and I think after the first line of games, he was up $7,000 just betting on all the underdogs.
Wow!
So that was.
That's a gutsy move.
I don't know. Not that we. Yeah, but with the odds that you get, right? You just need. I think he said 5 or 6 to hit, something like that. 5 or 6 upsets to hit. But yeah. Anyways, and some of those, Oakland, for an example, having such a huge payout, it just really worked out for him. But anyways, I just thought that was an interesting type of. Strategy, I guess you can call it, when betting. Not that I bet, but
yeah, it's definitely not something I would have bet on.
No, Oakland beating Kentucky, that's amazing. Yeah. Anyway, so the tournament got off to a pretty amazing start. Shocked a lot of people.
Yes, it did.
Yeah, the 0.1% left on the Yahoo brackets. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But we have to go to the other side of the coin here real quick, right? We're talking about there's great things. Your robotics team, what they did, the Oakland University, how they will knock off Kentucky. But unfortunately, we have two stories we have to get to, and the first story we got to do is about Cam Sutton. The guy from he threw his wife or girlfriend or something like that out a third-story window or something.
Something along those lines.
I read on that, but
yeah.
And now he's on the run. Like, they haven't been able to find him yet, which is pretty remarkable in this day and age with all the everybody has a camera phone, all the facial recognition. That someone of his stature, not that he's a very popular player in the NFL, but I mean, he's known, right? Is able to stay gone for this long. But anyway, but that's incredibly sad overall that what happened. Lions released him. And, what does that mean for the Lions, right? I think that's what everybody wants to know. Because
with the release, the Lions now. So the Lions owe him still his money, based on the way things currently stand. Even with the release, unless they can come with some other loophole, but it sounds like it's going to cost them another almost $6 million under the cap this year because they released him.
So, because that was a they did it as a post June 1st release. That's one of the they could do. So it does actually save the team some cap space for the 2024 year, which means it'd be saves $1.5 million. But of course, since they did it as a post June release, they can't use that $1.5 million until after June 1st when it become available. But we don't really know the exact language in Sutton's contract. But if the Lions would be able to avoid the guarantees, right? We don't know how that's all going to work yet. According to Pro Football Talk, that's still being trying to be confirmed. So, but typically a contract, if it violates some sort of like NFL rules, whatever it is, then that gets voided. But they're still responsible for amortizing the $2.818 million signing bonus for 2024 and 2025 because that money was already paid to him when he signed his contract in 2023. Actually, there is an update from Spot Track. Sorry, there is an update. The Lions are going to avoid the $10.5 million salary guarantee for 2024. And if that is approved by the league, the Lions will actually get that cap space back. So, just as an FYI.
That would be awesome because they already have $26 million to the good for cap space right now. And if they could get that 10 back to go up to like $36 million, to maybe sign somebody, that would be awesome, especially if they could fill it in the cornerback realm, right? We know L'Jarius Sneed just got traded. So that's off the table, but there might be a couple of veterans, some guys out there that I've heard that could be possible that we could get to come in, on like a veteran contract for a year, just to not to tile up a lot of money, but we need it. We don't know what we're going to get from Emmanuel Mosley when he comes back from injury, right? We did sign 2 new guys, but we lost Sutton, right? We still got Branch. Like there are still some pieces in place, but I feel like it was a plus and minus with this Cam Sutton thing, right? We brought in some help to help Sutton so he didn't have to cover number ones and actually see what he could do on the number 2 guys, right? and now we've just cut him, and now
Mhm.
we've got to pull another. We got to be able to fill that need. So that's either going to be now through the draft, which is possible, which we could still do even if we bring in a veteran presence.
Yep. It's possible. I don't think that's going to happen, though, honestly. Right? Like,
the draft or the
I said
veteran?
it in the last show that, the draft. I don't think they're
Okay.
going to use any draft capital. Well, let me rephrase that. I don't think they're going to use any early draft. Like, again, rephrase that. I don't think their first round draft pick is going to be a cornerback. I do think it's going to be their either a defensive end, or it's going to be use it for trade back if the guy didn't fall to them they wanted. Right. I think that's going to be one of the two
Right.
options. I don't think they're looking at it any other way. Now, it's possible to look at a cornerback in the second round with their second pick because the cornerback draft class is pretty deep this year, and
Mhm.
depending upon how many quarterbacks go, because it's a quarterback heavy draft this year.
Yeah.
You got defensive ends, you have defensive tackles, wide receivers. I mean, there's a lot of talent in this draft.
Right.
So someone's going to fall. Multiple people are going to fall. And it just depends on who it is and if Lions like him or not. But I don't think that first round draft pick is going to go into a cornerback. I said it last week. I don't think the Lions want to invest a lot of capital in the cornerback position. So I don't think this changes anything from that standpoint. I do think they want another cornerback on the roster because of injuries and other things that could happen. But I don't think they're going to use a first round draft pick on a corner.
I have seen, because of the draft, the quarterback class, I've seen anywhere from 3 to 5 definitely picks
5
quarterbacks, right?
In the first round.
Yeah. And Bo Nix and Penix, there's been a couple, like they kind of flip-flop, like who's going to go in that first round. But I think all 6 could go in the first round. I mean, they're looking at 4 that could be the first 4 picks. If a trade happens, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you
That's
get
right.
Bo Nix. Yeah, you get Bo Nix,
It's
and
kind
you
of crazy.
get Penix at the end of that draft, where someone might want to come in from the second round, take our pick from 29, and we'll go back, and we could still get like a Kool-Aid McKinstry, because he's been kind of slowly falling down a little bit.
Yes, he is. But yeah, I think that's exactly right. I mean, lock for sure is going to be Williams, May, Daniels, and McCarthy. They should all go in the first round. Then after that, like you said, Nix and Penix, it's a possibility. It's just kind of crazy that, Nix going into the college season was looked at as a for sure like first rounder and possibly a top 5 pick, and then you just had years or good solid years from Williams, May, and McCarthy that really rounded that out. And then Daniels kind of, he was always pretty good, but he also had kind of a breakout year too. But yeah.
Well, that got him the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah. But yeah, the quarterbacks, like, with the I've also seen mock drafts where Cooper DeJean was like the 5th or 6th quarterback taken. It's it's really weird right now. That Kenyon Mitchell, Nate Wiggins, with the show he put on at the combine, really elevated himself with that speed and the 6'2" height. He's kind of got it all. So Nate Wiggins being elevated up there a lot, but even like Kamari Lassiter from Georgia, I've seen a lot of stuff where he's sliding in the first round and actually pushing Kool-Aid McKinstry back in a second. So I don't know, like it's, but cornerbacks are deep though. That's all it is to it. Cornerbacks are a deep class. So I can see a second round pick being used there.
Right. Wouldn't it be nice to see a guy that's been mocked into the first round in these early even still, but slip out, and we are able to trade back into the second round, pick up some draft capital in the middle rounds where we need it, and then still get a first round
Yeah.
talent. So,
Yeah.
but all of this is really just coming down because of the Cam Sutton thing, and it's it's unfortunate, right? I was watching another YouTube channel, the Detroit something. I can't think of the name of it right now, but I love watching this guy. It's all pretty much about Detroit. They do talk sports, but it's mostly Detroit. And he was saying, it's a violent sport. We know it's a violent sport, but you got to be able to keep that violence under control. I mean, no one knows the story, the full story. We know what happened. There's an aftermath, and we know the aftermath.
Yep. And just for the record, right now, I'm really hoping for Letu from UCLA to fall to the Lions. I'll keep saying that. I really like him. Because more than likely, Turner's going to be off the board, right? And then it just determines on who gets picked after Turner. Turner should be the first one off defensive end-wise. But between Jared Verse, Letu, and Braswell from Alabama, and you can even potentially throw in Chop Robinson, although, I saw some mocks with him above some of the aforementioned players. So, man, I don't know. Like, it's gonna be a very, very fun first round for sure to sit through.
Oh, absolutely.
Which we could be streaming live potentially, because I think we did last year, didn't we?
Oh yes, we did.
No, we didn't stream it live. We did the full show. We did a full show.
Yes. So they were getting our reactions as it happened.
Yeah.
But this year we should just do it live.
We should just do it live. Yes. Yep. Kind of got that figured out now.
Yep.
Okay. And last topic we got to really do here. It's a big story. I think it could potentially be the biggest story in sports even. Shohei Ohtani. My man Shohei. Right? Look, I think we have to start off just with what we know for sure. Right? I think because we have to begin there. And what we know for certain is that there was gambling is illegal in California, and there was a bookie of some sort that ran a website or something like that, and $4.5 million was transferred out of Ohtani's account to this individual. So that's what we know for sure. That's it. There is no other facts, in the case as far as like what actually happened, right? Now, the it gets really, really messed up and confusing because when all this first kind of happened, because I guess the feds, how it all came about, the feds were trying to do an investigation into that individual that Ohtani sent money to, right? And they traced this account that was sending the money back to Ohtani. That's how everything kind of broke open. Boom, all this came out, right? All right, now fast forward to everything that happened. Ohtani's interpreter addressed the team and also addressed the reporter from ESPN. During that interview with the reporter from ESPN, the story initially was that he has a gambling problem and he ran into debts because unlike, legitimate gambling operations, casinos and any of those online betting services, you have to pay up front. They allowed him to do it all with credit, and he ran up a $4.5 million balance, and Ohtani paid it off. The reporter asked him, why didn't Ohtani give him the money so he could pay it off? Why did it come from Ohtani's account? And he replied that Ohtani did not trust him. He thought that Ohtani, according to the interpreter, he said that Ohtani said that if he just gave me the $4.5 million, that I'd just use that and go gamble some more and wouldn't actually pay off the debt. And I still had $4.5 million debt. So Ohtani felt the only way to pay off the debt was for him to pay it directly. And that's why it was paid out of Ohtani's bank account. Now, that was the first story. Later on, Ohtani's representatives said that there'll be a statement that would be sent out later on from Ohtani's lawyers. Then, so all that then changed and said that the interpreter stole $4.5 million from Ohtani. Bless you. So that's where we're at, right? That's all we really know. That's two stories. But what is the implications of this, right? The reason why it could be the biggest story in sports is because Ohtani is a superstar, and he's the biggest name in baseball. Everybody knows who Shohei Ohtani is, and we all know what happens when you gamble, right? Look at Pete Rose. Look at the Black Sox. Like we all know. Now the interpreter did say that he didn't bet on any baseball games. All right, so but again, we don't know. So that's but so here's a question though. Right now, everything from here on out is speculation. The last thing I'll say though, before getting into the speculation, is it is planned for Ohtani to speak to the media, at least give a statement anyways. I don't know if he's going to answer questions tomorrow on Monday. So, of course, I'll be tuning in. I want to see what he has to say. But that is a planned thing for Ohtani to address the media. Now, the rest of this is speculation. I don't want anything here being taken as if it's fact. That's 100% speculation because you have to ask questions. The first question you have to ask is, with all of the online betting sites like FanDuel and so on and so forth, why would the interpreter go to some bookie or whatever you want to call this individual to bet? Why don't you just go through these approved type of sites? Now, for me, look, I'm not a gambler, so I don't have all the answers. I'm just trying to keep it simple. Because a lot of times the simplest explanation is the right one. Right. So why would you not bet on stuff directly with, like, again, FanDuel? Well, what if you're trying to do something that wasn't legal? Right? That's the first thing that comes to mind. You're not betting with a approved service because what you're doing is something that you don't want to be found out about. So you're trying to keep it on the down low. Now, look, I'm not saying anything. There was a post on X, formerly Twitter, that was showing that some bets of high money were being made during times in which Ohtani was pitching. So not only was he pitching, but he's also hitting, had a lot of control over the game. And he had some of his worst starts during those games. So, like, for an example, you'd have someone bet that Ohtani would give up 4 runs. Someone betted on the over for that, right? Someone betted that Ohtani would give up 2 home runs. Ohtani bet on, again, I said Ohtani, I didn't mean that. The individual that placed the bet would bet on the over side of that. So, now, look, this is really wild speculation. It's really, out there. But again, if you're betting with someone that was like a legitimate website, you had that opportunity, but you didn't. So why would that be? I'm not saying the two is connected. I'm just saying it's kind of like an interesting type of information, right? Kind of matches up. One bet was even $10 million that was on there. So, look, maybe not. I don't personally believe it to be the case. I just, when you're trying to answer the questions as to why this would happen, that's the first thing that came to my mind. And, there are some bets that kind of line up in those type of situations. Now, the other things, right? Because there's only really 3 possible outcomes in this story. One is the worst possible outcome. Ohtani was doing the betting, and he's using his interpreter as a fall guy. That's like the worst possible outcome. But it's, again, we don't know because it always seems suspicious when the story changes. But that's the worst possible outcome, but that is one. The other one is, hey, Ohtani and this interpreter guy, they were more than just like, they were like really best of friends that lived together. They hung out, did everything together. And I was talking to a guy at work. We were talking about this situation, and I was saying, how could somebody like get your bank account information? Like, I would never give my bank account information away, right? Like that's not something I'd keep close to the vest. Like, because one of the things was, if the story was that the interpreter stole $4.5 million. Well, how would he have access to Otani's bank account? The guy I work with says that it's not that unusual. If you have somebody that you trust that much, that he's been in situations where like his very close friends know his bank account information and he knows theirs. And with them living together, maybe they had that type of relationship. I don't know. But I'm just saying, from my perspective and how I grew up, I would never give that information away. So that's the first thing that seems suspicious to me is, how do you get that account information?
Well, I'd look at it from because he's the interpreter, they've been together a long time. And as an interpreter, I'm sure
2018.
Yeah. Okay. So to me, it seems reasonable, simply because as the interpreter, he's the one that's talking to somebody else about the bank account. So like if we're at a bank doing bank transactions.
No, you're right. And that was something that guy I worked with brought up as well, is that, he might have been more than just an interpreter for Ohtani. He might have been almost like a personal assistant kind of, kind of doing all these extra tasks for him. So one, he could just focus on baseball and have to worry about these, side things like, paying his rent or whatever else it might be. He also might have been, going as far as like, even doing reservations or, whatever, for restaurants. I don't know. But like, yeah, it's very possible. Right. So, I mean, it makes sense that in those type of scenarios, he would definitely, have that information to do that for Ohtani. And, the last option is, what? Ohtani's just a good guy and he's trying to, do solid for his friend that he's known for so long. Ohtani has, basically more money than some small countries. So why not throw your friend a bone here and there that when he got himself in trouble, right? Try to help him out.
So I would like to speak on the first one that you talked about. Because if it comes out and that's the case and it was actually Ohtani betting, I'm going to cry for you.
Thank you. Yeah.
So
me too. A lot.
I mean,
and often and hard and a pillow.
I would just go outside and scream in the woods. Who cares if whoever hears? like I've seen your collection of Shohei Ohtani cards. We have sort of discussed how hard it was, the Wander Franco thing that happened, right?
Yeah.
And how those cards devalued almost overnight. Your Ohtani collection dwarfs. I mean, it's a very impressive collection of cards.
Yeah.
So for your sake and for your children's future's sake, because, we've talked about, the cards are really for you, it's for the, kind of an investment for your children that they'll have that they can and then use that money, whatever, college, whatever.
Well,
it'd be theirs.
When I first started, thinking about this, you got this phenom that's doing things that you haven't seen since, Babe Ruth. And,
Right.
I said to myself, like, if you go back in time, knowing what you know now, and knowing, like, hey, look at Babe Ruth's cards, like, would you, use that information to buy as many as you could and just save them as long as possible, right? Like, of course you would. And that was my plan with the whole Ohtani stuff, right? Like, look, I do have a nice collection, but most of which are just like, we're kind of changing subjects to more of like a baseball card discussion. For the record,
I had to because of what happened with your Wander Franco cards. I had to mention it because you brought it up about it being that if it was actually Ohtani betting, Pete Rose got a lifetime ban.
Mm-hmm.
One of the greatest baseball players to ever do it. And we're looking at a repeat of that.
Look, the for those of you that are just watching this and you don't have any idea about baseball cards, and the times have changed, right? There's in the late 80s, 90s, so on and so forth, that's called the junk wax era, because literally millions of every card was printed, and those cards are basically worthless. It doesn't matter like who it is; those cards are basically worthless nowadays. You talk about the best players of all time, Mark McGwire, Jose Canseco, like of those eras, they're worth a couple bucks, maybe, right? Mm-hmm. Like, so, most people are arguing that we've entered yet another junk wax era because, again, millions of cards are being printed. So you have to take everything with a grain of salt as far as like expectations go, and what my expectations are and what my expectations are going in the future. Like I made the comparison to Babe Ruth and Babe Ruth's cards, but it's not even the same realm, because again, how many were printed of Ruth versus how many printed were over Ohtani, right? And then you talk about just the variations. Ohtani has like 400 variation rookie cards, between the different like color combinations and the different pictures and it's so, and each one of those, unless they're limited print, has hundreds of thousands of copies. Like it's not like so it's not fair that I would use a Babe Ruth comparison when I was talking about it. I just want to say that, because it's never going to be at that level, right? Never is. But at the same time, it's more of a kind of like a personal. People collect for many different reasons. People collect, trying to buy and sell to make a living and make money. I don't do that. I don't do a lot of buying and selling. I just buy. I'm a collector. I collect cards based on people that I like, for various reasons, and Ohtani, I thought he was going to change the game, and he literally has. They've come up with new designated hitter rules and stuff like that, when he's playing, so like he's literally changed the game. And when I saw that, I was like, yes, I'd love to be able to, like buy some cards. This guy, I want to collect. And that's what collecting is. Collecting is, collecting players that you like for any various reasons. I still collect some other players that aren't as well known, just because I like them, or maybe it's because I like the card. There are some cards I buy just because I love the image on it. That's it. There's no other reason for it. I look at cards as almost like a modern art in a way. But anyway, just to clear that up, like it was, but yeah, it'd be a really sad day. And for me, it'd be more sad, not necessarily because of, it's because of who it is. It's what he means to the game,
yeah.
And he actually is kind of going on some baseball card.
Yeah. he's baseball worldwide.
Yeah.
Right? Like
yes, everybody knows
Shohei.
Yep.
Yeah, he cannot go anywhere in the world and people not know who he is.
Right. Yep. And just for the record, Ohtani's card's already taken a hit right now. Like you can go on other sites. I've seen some, and now some of his lower end cards. Right. When I say lower end, these are cards that typically sell between $80 and say $150 in a like a graded 10 condition. Like you're starting to see those cards kind of drop in price. Whereas like a couple weeks ago, they were selling for like say $120, or selling for like maybe $100 to $90, right on that, right on that range. So they definitely drop. The high end cards are still pretty high end, are still going to cost you a lot of money. They're not really taking this. You're not really feeling the same thing with them. But I'd say basically anything over $1,000, $1,200 is not really seeing that effect yet as far as prices coming down. But anything less than $1,000, you're seeing the cards come down in value. So, anyway, I'm hoping for the best with Ohtani. Like everywhere I go, it doesn't matter with me traveling or whatever, right? I always try to tune into MLB.com, watch his games. I love watching him play. When we go out to watch games in person, we always try finding a game where Ohtani's playing to go to Tiger Stadium. So, again, for what he means to baseball and what he means to me personally, because I love the guy and the way he plays the game, I really hope that's not true.
Yeah, I'm with you. And not having been as big a baseball fan as you, I love what he's done for this game, right? And not just the numbers. Like, I'm talking about work ethic, right? Like, staying healthy, right? Or I should say, keep trying. Not just whatever he puts in his body, is careful with what he does, right? Like he doesn't do things, right? He's very very cognizant about what he eats, what he's putting into his body. He does, try to take it. Obviously, we know he's having Tommy John surgery. So when I say about health, but it's not. He's still trying to stay in shape. Like you can see him; he's still a specimen when he's out, at the plate, right?
Well, you can't do anything to make your UCL stronger, right? Like you can't do anything with that. But he, there's a lot of videos out there that shows what he does in terms of like post game care and pre game care and everything he does with his body. Like everything revolves around baseball. Yeah, like he does do some TV time. He does, play a couple of video games here and there. But even when he's doing that, he has like some sort of like sleeve on his arm, supposed to be helping out his muscles and joints and all that kind of stuff. As he's like he's still putting in the time doing something that revolves around baseball when he's doing other things. It's amazing. The guy is so dedicated to his craft. But yeah, man. Like now, just for the record, I don't believe any of that's true. Right? I don't. Now maybe it's just my personal feelings for the guy. I don't know. You can say that if you want to. But I think that Ohtani, he just seems super straight laced to me, and I don't think it's true. My gut feeling tells me Ohtani's just a good guy. I believe the first story about the first one that came out. Ohtani's trying to help his friend. I just believe that to be true.
Yeah.
I have nothing for it to go on. We'll see exactly what happens when he addresses the media. But I just think that's the case. I just think that he's just a good guy trying to help someone. And
I think the chain of events, the Dodgers fired this guy as the interpreter for him, right? Like that's because the story came out. That's what they did because the organization is backing Ohtani, saying that Ohtani has nothing to do with it. They were trying to break ties with this guy. I just, of course, I can change the story.
Well,
I could say what I want because now it's going to be a he said, he said.
Well, they got 700 million reasons why to back Ohtani, right?
Yeah.
Um, but I do believe him to be a like innocent of gambling on this. I just felt I had to bring up, some of these accusations and some of the wilder claims being made because it's. I mean that post I was talking about on X that referenced that. I forgot what they were calling him. Like he came up with some sort of nickname for him, and I forgot what it was. But um, millions upon millions of people read that, and I felt I had to address it and I had to report on it because people seen it. But I just don't think it's true. Like you could find if you look hard enough, you can find anything to match up to something, right? Like it doesn't matter. And I don't. What is it, like causation or I forgot that word, but you know what I'm trying to go with, right? Like,
Yep.
Yeah, coincidence isn't. Yeah, man, I wish I could remember that now. It doesn't matter. I don't believe it's true. All right.
Yeah.
You look hard enough, you can be able to connect anybody to anything, and I just don't think that's the case here.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm with you, and it's like I said, I haven't even heard any of the other things that you were talking about, like as far as some of the news reports, because I've been so out of it over the last 10 days, trying to get prep, for these competitions that I've been working with.
Yeah.
But, so you're talking about the stuff that you were reading about, and I'm like, oh my God. And all in my head, all I kept thinking about is, please don't let it be him. Right? Don't let it, let him just be they're trying to pull him down into something that had nothing to do with him. And that's what I kept thinking in my head.
Yeah, I believe that is the case, right? So, but I am anxious to hear what he has to say. And let's, now, of course, baseball is investigating it. This guy's still under investigation by the feds. So, like, if he did do something wrong, it's going to get out, right? There's nothing anybody can do to prevent that from happening. So, look, let's just, next step is really just waiting to see what was said and then, going from there. That's all we can do. Can't do anything else.
Well, I think I'd like to say this. If the feds were already investigating this bookie and they were able to track the money back to Ohtani, I would think, and I hate saying this, but to use the bookie to get who was placing the bets and what they were placing the bets on, right? As far as like sentencing, a way to...
Well...
You know what I mean?
I'm sure the bookie's keeping track of bets, right? Now, one thing I forgot to say, and I didn't mean to omit it, I just forgot to mention it, is the bookie was going around trying to get other people to bet with him, saying Ohtani was a client. So, now, whether or not he actually, was, or, again, what has come out with this investigation by the feds is that the bookie never spoke with Ohtani directly. It always went through this interpreter. So again, I love Ohtani, right? Speculation. Was Ohtani using the interpreter as a way to gamble? And that way, if something did happen, he has a fall guy, right? Like it won't get back to him because he never made any contact with the guy personally. It was always through the interpreter. I don't.
Right.
Because again, the bookie was saying that Ohtani was a client. Like, again, so we don't know. Like, it's just, there's so much ifs, ands, or buts. All we know is what we told you at the very beginning of the segment. And and as of now, they're saying that Ohtani is not really a suspect. He's not under investigation, any of that kind of stuff. So, but, if he did wrong, we'll find out. I'm pretty sure about that.
Yep. And you said he's got a press conference or something tomorrow?
Yeah, press conference Monday. I don't know if there's a time. I'll Google it real quick to see if there is a time. But I just read what I read earlier didn't give a time. Let's see. AP News, does that give anything? I don't think so. No, it's not given a time yet. So I'm just going to keep an eye out. I'm sure I'll get some sort of like update across my phone when he's getting ready to talk, but
Yeah.
Yeah. And, because of this press conference is delayed, a lot of people are saying that, fans wise, are saying that Ohtani had to get coached up to know what to say, because obviously the first press conference that was had with his interpreter, Mizuhara, didn't go the way they wanted to go, when he was basically saying Ohtani, paid my debts for me, that kind of thing. So they're saying, and again, that just makes more people more suspicious. And unfortunately, no matter what happens, there's always going to be that suspicion on Ohtani from here on out now.
Well, let me put it like this. People are going to say that, but the English language is subjective, I guess, right? Because you can read into anything that I've said, and you can take it however you want, right? That's what. So you're talking about someone who doesn't even speak very good English. I just.
But that wasn't Ohtani that was saying it. That's this translator that's supposed to be fluent in English, right? Like, I'd agree with you, and I'd be on your side when you're saying that if it was Ohtani talking, but it wasn't. It was a fluent speaker in English, and it's not as if he got the 3 different spellings of "two" confused. I mean, there's a very big difference by saying I stole money from Ohtani or Ohtani paid off my debts. Like, it's not, you know what I mean? Like, that's not close. I can't.
No, I get that.
As much as I want to support the guy, I want to. I just can't do it.
Yeah, well, was he interpreting exactly what Ohtani said? Because I don't speak Japanese.
Ohtani wasn't there during the press conference.
Okay.
Ohtani wasn't there during the press conference. It was just him that was given that, and he was saying he was giving his story about what happened. Now, there was also another story that came out. Look, I've been reading all kinds of stuff about this, obviously. There was also another thing that came out because Mizuhara had to address the team. And when he was in there addressing the team, he's saying, look, a story is going to come out about me gambling, and a lot of the players in the Dodgers, because this happened while they were in, Korea during that series over there. And the players were like, why are you telling us about this? Like, how does this involve us? Like, and one of the stories were when he told the team that Ohtani paid off his $4.5 million gambling debt. There's reports that Ohtani's head kind of like popped up and was like, what'd he say? I paid for what? As if he really didn't know. And then, so the story was, that's when Ohtani started questioning what happened. And then they came back out and said, no, it was actually stolen. Now, again, like I said, there's so many versions, right? We don't know what happened. But if that story is to be believed, that's true, that Ohtani kind of head popped up when his interpreter said that Ohtani paid off $4.5 million. Like, again, it lends credibility to that one story that he really was being taken advantage of, and he got stolen, and $4.5 million stolen from him. So we'll see. Don't know.
Yeah.
But again, I just hope that Ohtani has his hands clean from all this, and I really do believe he does. No matter what happens, my belief is he is clean. No matter what type of story comes out regarding it, I do believe he's clean. But I do think this is going to tarnish his reputation some, no matter what happens. Right? Like it's it's like you can't just be accused of doing something so serious and come away with completely with your reputation intact. Like, it's just not going to happen. And that, unfortunately, that's going to be what's going to happen here, and it's unfortunate for him.
Yeah. It's just, I find it a little ironic, the timing of this story, so close to him announcing this girl that no one ever seemed to know about that he's married to.
Well, it was funny. I was reading a story, and they were talking about this whole scandal, and they said before this, Ohtani's only been known for 2 scandals, and it was the name of his dog, because he never even told anybody the name of his dog, but he had his dog in a lot of his pictures that he would take, right? And who his girlfriend was, now his wife. Like, he's a very private person, keeps everything very close to the chest.
Mm-hmm.
What other celebrity of his stature could possibly have kept something so like mundane, like the name of your dog, secret for as long as what he did?
Yeah. Or not know that he had was a girlfriend. That all of a sudden now he's just, ta-da, I'm married.
Yeah.
Meet the wife.
Yeah. It was I read some stuff where he was talking about like some of the stuff they would do. Like, he bumped into her, I guess, twice. Doing some I think the first time was in some sort of training gym or whatever. Mm-hmm. But while she was playing basketball in Japan and he was, doing stuff there in the US, he said they would sometimes have like movie night where they'd basically be on FaceTime watching a movie together, and that's what they would do because that's all they had, were capable of doing. So,
sounds like something you and your wife might have done.
I know way too much about Ohtani's life right now. I feel like I'm a stalker.
That's good.
Anyway. Yeah.
Well, there might be a knock at your door, and it might be the FBI.
Let's hope not. Yeah. Hey, I'm just kidding, Shohei, right? I'm not stalking you, honestly. I just am a little obsessed. That's all. It's innocent.
Right? It's right. We're not talking, tie you up in a room so I can have you for myself obsessed. But,
wow. That went dark quick.
Wow. If the FBI is going to come, we might as well make it a good one.
Man, get you out of the house. What movie was that? When those guys like kidnapped the basketball player so he couldn't be there for the championship game?
Oh yeah, it was one of the guys from it was Marv.
It was playing for the Celtics or something,
right? It was for the Celtics.
Yes.
Yeah. I remember that game. Yeah, I remember
gotta do
that.
a quick Google on that because I can't remember.
That may or may not be my brother and I at some point.
It's called Celtic Pride with Dan Aykroyd and Daniel Stern.
There you go.
And Damon Wayans was the basketball player.
I was gonna say I thought it was Damon Wayans was the basketball player. Excuse me.
I did too. Anyway. I was afraid to say it though, but I thought so too. Yeah.
Yep. So that was that. I don't know. I will confirm nor deny that we've not done anything.
Yeah. Anyway, with that being said, I think we better end this before
we do get arrested.
Gets said that we'll have the FBI come into our doors. But look, I would like to make some sort of video once the announcement comes out about Ohtani, just because, again, I want to know what's going on and I want to relay that information over. But otherwise, Do appreciate you listening. If you lasted this long, hopefully you had a couple laughs. And we'll talk to you next time.
Take care, everybody.
Thanks for listening to No Pads Sports Talk. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. While you're at it, help spread the word by leaving a rating and review wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on social media at No Pads Sports Talk.